time for another round of brandy. Candid conversations over cocktails about all things brand with your hosts, Reilly Newman and Scott Saunders, the brand developers behind Motif Brands.
Today, we're talking about samples and freebies and the power of actually creating experiences when it comes to this kind of marketing, but beyond like a contained experience of having a store or having something that people are kind of locked in. Like how do you take that experience out into actually kind of like wild?
Like how do you bring how do you bring a brand to the masses? And this came up. This topic kind of came up because it's kind of going around viral right now on social media. But when we took a deep dive, we found out this thing actually occurred, this event that's going viral, we thought was real recent, but it actually happened 11 years ago. And it's with the chocolate company called Milka, Milka. And they have like a pinkish or purple, it's like a lavender, lavender looking cow as a mascot. And this they did this epic marketing experiment in Europe, where they had these giant plazas, and they would put this vending machine that just said Milka on it. And I guess it was like free chocolate, but it just said with a big button, no place to put in a coin or anything like that. And it said, touch the cow. And behind it is this like a big fabricated fiberglass version of their mascot cow standing.
Purple cow.
Yeah, purple cow, standing feet away from the vending machine. And then it got interesting, right, Reilly?
Well, because then the people look behind them and they see the purple cow and they can't reach it, but the thing's telling them to touch it. So then they start making like a human chain to create this, way of touching the machine and touching the cow at the same time.
With a reward of free chocolate at the end of it. But what they didn't know is people are trying to not only coax other passerbyers, hey, come over here, help us. We're trying to get free chocolate. The cow is like, I guess, on casters or something, and it's slowly moving backwards and backwards. So literally it became like 30, 40 yards away from the vending machine when you have a line of like 30, 35 people where finally they decided to, they stopped, and the last person in the human chain was able to touch the cow, and all of a sudden all these chocolate bars started coming out of the vending machine. And people were so happy that, the joy of not only kind of getting the free chocolate, right? That was one thing. The enjoyment of the experience of having to coax complete strangers into this, all for the group benefit of getting free chocolate and working as a team or a unit, and the inventive way they did it. The look on those people's faces in the video, and I know it wasn't fake. You could just tell it was actually, like a candid camera type of thing, because the expressions were really real. But people were so stoked to be sitting there walking away, opening up and biting into these Milka candy bars because they had earned it. They'd worked hard for it.
Yeah. And it looks like Milka has been doing some really great marketing overall, because even the whole purple cow thing, Seth Godin, the world famous marketer, he wrote a book called The Purple Cow. And it's about doing things that are different, standing out. And his whole thing was like, you don't recognize, or you wouldn't notice a normal cow in a pasture, but if you saw a purple cow, you would definitely talk about it, and you'd point at it, and you'd tell people about it. So it's kind of interesting to see that Milka actually introduced the cow way back in their history, and then actually turned it to a purple cow at the the consulting of their marketing firm at the time. So they've actually had this purple cow for a long time. And so it's cool in their history, but them using it in this way where you're using this iconic mascot, their iconic lilac color, and then creating this experience that then creates this fun memory, and you're giving out freebies. So it was definitely like a marketing stunt, because they were videoing it and they're creating this whole thing, and someone had to be there to automate or remotely control the cow and stuff, but it created something really cool. And so this kind of does lean into going, okay, yes, that is, that takes a lot of planning, and it's not feasible to scale that, or for a small business to do that per se. You're not going to go.
Well, you mentioned another one, like Coke did that, right? You were telling me about Coke. Time, and I wasn't familiar with this story. So
I think it was like in Mexico or somewhere, and they drove around their classic Coke truck, and on the back was this huge red button. And I think it just said "press me" or something. And the truck was just driving nice and slow. And again, it's being videotaped, so their marketing team was on it. And eventually, a little boy goes up and he jumps up and hits it, and a bottle comes out. And one person sees it, and the next person sees it, and they start all seeing these Coke bottles coming out. And so everyone's just lining up, and it was almost like the ice cream truck effect, where you have this truck going through, and everyone's crowding around it, pressing this button, and the Coke bottles are just flying. And so it's kind of, again, one of those things where it's like, oh, that's a neat idea, but now let's take that same enthusiasm and just kind of cleverness and then boil it down for a small business of what you can do in a realistic setting. And that kind of brings us to like free samples and creating that experience of going, okay, if you can get your product out there in a very theatrical way, like Milka or Coke, that's great. Or get it in a more
but in all reality, those
way.
are very gimmicky, but they also take a lot of budget, a lot of planning, a lot of manufacturing. I mean, all those things. I still try to like, how do they power the vending machine? You know, it's like the middle of a plaza with no outlets
Solar
around, you know, and no
converter.
long extension cord. But yeah, and it's not necessarily, you know, and I think the first thing people think of when they think of free samples, they're like, I'm just not going to give away free product. Like, I'm not in that position to just be giving away free product like that. Right. And I understand, but the reality is that even, and this is, I think why we like this suggestion is because in some way you can scale this down to the smallest brand possible, which I think in my mind would be like someone that is like showing up at a farmer's market, you know, that they maybe make their own jams, right? Or their own honey. And they've made it out of their kitchen and they've given it to friends. And people are like, you should start your own business. And where do they start? They have to start local. They have to start small. And the most easiest is just rent a little farmer's market spot with a table, a little awning, back of your car, and you're selling product. And that's the small scale where people, you know, I've been to those types of things where people are just standing there with a tray or a plate and they're like, please try this. And you're like, oh, this is homemade brittle. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. All of a sudden I've literally done a 360, you know, 180 turn, not 360, because then I would have turned completely around. 180 turn, and gone back to the table and gone, how much? Like, and grab some, and because you're getting that. And other times I've walked away going, that's okay. But the fact that they're out there doing that, and there's no salesmanship, that's what I think I like. I love the freebies where it feels like it's not like, oh, try it, you know, for same reason, free test drive. Come and test drive for free a new car. I go, heck no, because I know as soon as I step on the lot and drive the car for free, their hook is already in me. I'm not going to get away easy, right?
Yeah.
For me, it's the brands that are they're doing it, and it's almost like out of goodwill. Like there's nothing in return. Try some. I just want you to see.
Yeah. It kind of it de-escalates the kind of the interaction and the conversation, because then you're like, your guard as a consumer is dropped, going, okay, they're honestly leaning into their product, going, okay, this thing is good, I know it is, try it. If you don't believe me, try it. And then that's up to the consumer, right? Just like it's going to be up to you when you, after you buy it and you take it home, it's going to be up to you if you like it or not, and if you're going to return and buy more or just throw it out. It does remind me of even doing like guarantees, of doing things that are like, hey, I you know, a 30-day guarantee on this or whatever it is. I think there's power in that as well. And I feel like samples and guarantees get discounted of going, oh, no, that's lame for some reason. But I think there's really powerful things just in the psychology of it. And like Scott was saying, it's like it unlocks so much of being able to go, okay, I tried the product. Yeah, it actually did intrigue me. I enjoyed it or whatever. And now I'm gonna go buy it. And I think that the two main brands that do this extremely well is like Costco and Trader Joe's. Yeah. Is that their whole model is built on these free samples. Especially Costco. Costco just like floods.
And I love, I was talking about this the other day. I love like Trader Joe's, but they have like, one time I went in and they were giving away samples, and it's something literally that I have in my fridge. I love this stuff. It's like their white cheddar, unexpected white cheddar cheese, pub cheese. Like it says spread, and they were putting it down on crackers. I'm like, and she's like, would you like to try some unexpected? I'm like, oh yes, and I winked to her and smiled. I go, I'm like, I think I had 3 of these in my fridge already. I love this stuff, and I'm like, are you sure you don't mind? Because she knew it was like I didn't need to taste it. I already buy it, and she's like, no, absolutely. And I go, gosh, it's so good. She goes, here, have 2 more, and just. She knew that like I was already a fan, but she didn't have to do that. But it was almost because there was an entertaining way. I was banter. I was being obviously kind of joking around with her and being, honest, going, oh, really? Oh, this is new. Wow. Don't have 3 of these in my fridge. And that just made a really fun, memorable engagement with a staff member at TJ's. And again, their equity for me goes up more.
Yeah. It's the classic sampling seduction. Like the old woman at Costco. There's this one at our Costco, and she always goes, "Hey folks, try some, or try a pack, buy a pack." And she always, but she says it so it's not pressury, but there is this like
almost vaudeville, old school vaudeville, like
She just says it, and I'm like, oh, it works. And again, it happens a lot where my kids will try it, I'll try it, and we're like, oh wow, we should get that. and we'll give it a go. But it is there's something powerful to it, and even like psychology of it is that when someone is shopping, it's just like when you buy more food or you order more when you are hungry when you're shopping. If you're out grocery shopping and you're hungry, you are going to buy more. When you're out at a restaurant, your eyes will be bigger than your stomach. And so the same thing happens with this, is that once you get someone salivating or someone enjoying food and the body kicks into gear to digest the food, they're going to start looking at other things on the shelves and go, oh, that actually does sound good. Or that does sound good, right? Because you're putting them in that mode. Additionally, it's also like the reciprocity of going, okay, they gave me something for free. This isn't as sinister as it sounds, but the reciprocity of going, oh, they gave me something for free. Now I'm indebted to them. There's this human accounting system where we always are kind of keeping track of like, oh yeah, they did give me something for free, or yeah, they gave me a free sample of this. And yes, samples, we understand the nature of it, but there is this slight indebtedness that we feel where we go, oh, I got that for free. Heck, I'll buy it back, whatever. And the person's doing their job. They gave me a sample. They're being cool. Like, yeah, I'll throw them a bone, if anything. Or you actually like the product and you're gonna buy it.
Well, I think it's like you said, that reciprocity where like even I was at Chipotle and I was like, hey, I'm like, can you throw a little extra protein on it? You know, and I kind of like, hey, you know, can you toss me a little extra meat without charging me? And he like looked and he glanced, smiled a little bit, put on a big old thing, and their tip jar was there, and I was like, I was more inclined. I didn't have to, but he threw me a solid, so I was going to throw him a solid back in return, like pay it forward back to them. It's interesting because, you know, obviously for brand and what we're talking about works great for products. It is. But if you're a service, right? Yeah. Like you're not going to, if hypothetical, you are an electrician, you're like, well, I'm not going to give like, you know, go in and do their rewire their home for free. You know, like, what are you going to do? So it's a little bit interesting to see. I'm not too familiar with, like, the thought occurred to me just now. You know, I was like, are there some brands that have done this? Like, it's more service-based, and they're giving away freebies. Yeah. Now, I can see, like, if it was a car wash, like a new car wash opens, and they're like, hey, this first weekend, version. All car washes are free. And because we wanted to sell you on our car wash, maybe it's a touchless or whatever, they have all these amenities. I could see you having a line of cars out and people like, that's one thing. But in the end, that's still, it's in a sense, it is, I always think of like, a car wash is a service, but I feel like it's a product. I don't know why, because the car is a product. It's it's something to the car, but yeah.
Well, if we break services into two categories of productized services and then expert services or specialized services, you're going to have productized services like Paramount Plus, Netflix, car washes, things like that are essentially they're services, but they're packaged. And so that's why on Paramount Plus, they're always trying to sell you on, hey, 7 days free, sign up, right? And they try to get a hook in you. Netflix does that, Disney does that, everyone does that. And we're familiar with that. Or with software, you had the famous freemium model that came out where they go, hey, sign up and then sign up for free. Oh, we actually upgraded you to the premium one, and you get that for 30 days. And so they're hoping that you get hooked on the features, and then when your renewal comes around, you're gonna be like, well, I don't want to get rid of that. I'm already using that. It's part of my daily life. Same thing with the car wash, where they go, hey, come in, get your first car wash for free, and so on and so forth. The expert or specialized service is going to be like your electrician, or maybe a consultant, or a strategist, or something like that. And they essentially will have to give away either their expertise away for free or give it away for very, very, very expensive. So a consultant could essentially give away their thinking in certain ways, and that thinking, their approach to doing something or solving a problem can be written about, can be talked about, can be whatever, but the application of that service to your specific scenario is what costs money. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So just like you could read a book, you can go into a library or Barnes & Noble or Amazon and get a book on some topic. It's, $10, $12, $14, like our award-winning book, Brandy, available on Amazon.
Shameless plug.
Then if you're like, man, I really like that author, I wonder how much I could maybe have him come talk at my conference.
Right.
Or I wonder how much he could come into my company and do like a workshop, or maybe, give us some consulting. Now you're talking multiple dollar figures. It's not $12 anymore. So that's kind of the difference, is that you do, then that same author could give away their book for free, or they could give away a podcast for free, or an interview or something. So it's it's different. It's like the same thing, but different, because it's just like if someone calls me or emails me and asks me a question about something, I'll usually answer it, because it's like, oh yeah, I can answer those questions all day long. about their strategy or what I think about their brand or whatever. And then if they're like, okay, could you actually come in and let's do a deep dive.
Yeah.
Then it's like, okay, now that's an engagement. That's something that's actually
or
gonna
even
engage.
here's another way is if you are, let's say you're an interior designer, right?
Yeah.
You've got a service. You're a creative interior designer. You're not going to give away your interior design, expertise as it applies to that next home that would be crossing your path. But what you could do if that was your lane in that industry is look at having a very robust and beneficial referral system, because we're talking about in general, whether it is, Costco little, nibbles at Costco, or whether it's free chocolate bars through a vending machine or Coke bottles, it's still brand. And we're talking about how do you get your brand out to the masses, to the people, the audience that is not familiar with it yet. And so referrals, word of mouth referrals are huge. They're huge. And a lot of businesses have some, but sometimes they're like for instance, like if you had an interior designer and you love them and they're like, hey, if you refer me, I'll send you a $200 Bed Bath & Beyond card, whatever, some sort of gift card, something to show if it, and don't make it contingent on their next engagement. Oh, you know what? Next time I'll give you 25% off the next time you use me. That's kind of like, that's too salesy. But if it's authentic, like a thank you, like in other words, you give them a personal card, a thank you, anytime like that, it's not like it's incentive for them, but more for them to share your brand with someone that isn't familiar with it.
Yeah.
And that's another way, because I feel like word of mouth referrals is, I think, probably the best way to go for any business and any brand, because it's based on not empty promises that come from a lot of marketing schemes and a lot of advertisement. It comes from genuine, gratified brand experience. And it's with people you already trust and know. I'm not going to go up to a stranger and go, you need to go try this. I'm going to go up to my friend and go, dude, I just had this. This is amazing.
Yeah, and I feel like
it's, you know what I mean? It's a different channel, and there's different brand trust already engaged through word of mouth referrals.
Yeah, and to me, it's like along the same lines of even like the sample, where it's like, oh, you trust yourself because, oh, I did try that, I did like it, and then you're that much sold. Just like, oh, Scott tried that, or Scott saw that movie, or went to that restaurant. I know Scott and I have similar tastes. I trust Scott's opinion on things, and yeah, he liked it, so I'll most likely like it. So there's
you
power
will like
in that.
it.
You will. And I do like what Scott's saying about the incentive thing is like, yeah, don't make it about the transaction. I like the separation of this future transaction and discounting that transaction versus throwing them a bone for referring you and going, hey, I'll throw them $200, $500 or whatever for a referral, and that's a nice thank you, but it's not attached to this discounting
only if
of
you
your service.
buy something more from us.
Yeah, you get 10% off your next purchase. And it's again, going back to samples, I think there's power in a lot of that, and so then even getting creative with it and going, okay, what would that look like in our field or for my product or my business? How could we let people try it out? Or whatever that could be. So I think there's creative ways you go about that beyond just typical samples, and creating that experience that goes beyond just your in-store or the immediate kind of engagement.
Right. And with all of this, the why this sounds so great, but for the small business owner, it's hard to hear, because it imagines you having to give up something. You have to invest either your time or your product. Right, or even getting into, like, if you were to spend and create trial sizes of whatever it is you have that are your freebies that you don't mind giving out, like napkins to select people or whatever it is, right? That's going to take some capital, but it's a very worthwhile investment because of what it will do for your brand in the long run.
Yeah, and that's what's crazy. To that point, it's like people will they'll put marketing budgets aside all day long because they think that's what they should do with their business. Just like people make business plans and stuff, which are usually a bunch of rubbish, and they go, "Oh, I need a marketing budget because I'm gonna go buy ads. I'm gonna buy ads on Facebook, on Instagram, and maybe I'll get a billboard because that's what you do, right? That's what you do when you have a business." And it's like, wait a second, they've actually done a lot of studies now that show samples are highly effective compared to advertising and marketing dollars. So if you just kind of do the kind of mental jujitsu of going, no, me spending money on this much product I'm putting aside for samples to give out as freebies or whatever, I'm counting that as like marketing dollars. So that amount of product that I have, I'm kind of just going to write that off and have that be my marketing budget. And there's a lot of, I'll have to dig them up, but there's a lot of companies that have done that. And now that's what they do, is that's how they go about their advertising and marketing, is just give away freebies. Let's do it that way. And, Tesla kind of did a similar thing where Tesla doesn't have advertising or like marketing budget. They don't have sales stores really. And so they pretty much were like, hey, if you want to drive it, we will come to you and you can test drive it. And if you like it or you don't, like, take it or leave it. Like, it's just kind of like,
yeah,
it's in your hands, consumer. Do what you want. We're not here to, bait you into, trick you to drive it off the lot or something. It's like, no, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, we're not for you. And I think there's just the trust of that. I think there's something where the brand automatically, they're putting their skin in the game, and it gives the consumer this immediate trust. And we've talked about that before, where you have this borrowed or kind of lending of trust. And when the brand puts that out there first of going, hey, I believe in my product this much, I just want you to try it. There's something about that I think.
Yeah, and they're willing to back it up with capital, that they think they're that sure that I'm gonna love it. They're willing to give it to me for free.
Yeah. But I think that's a good place to end this episode. Yeah. Again, look up that Melka campaign.
If you haven't already seen it, like I said, I'm seeing it all over the place now, and that's why I was kind of surprised when I looked into it, going, "Whoa, this was like 2000,
a decade ago.
2015 is when this was done." Geez. So anyway,
but we'll talk to you next week on another round of Brandy. Please feel free to leave a review or email us if you have any questions about brand or marketing.
Yeah. Cheers.